I'm here in the city of Xiamen, a city along the southern coast of China's Fujian province, one with a fascinating history. Controlled by the British Empire from the mid-19th century until 1912, has left it with an extremely unique mix of culture. Once just a port forced open by the British, has since been an integral part of China's economic success. Now, I'm here to explore the biggest wet market in all of Xiamen, as local can really get. When I first came to China and I visited these wet markets, I must admit I thought the food hygiene was awful. And now, after I've been here for a couple of years and I understand a little bit more about the cooking culture, I have changed my perspective somewhat.
So here you can see a bunch of fish heads. Now, back home we would discard of the fish head, but in China it's kind of a delicacy. I remember being at a meal once, and because I was the guest, they gave me the fish head, and I was kind of being polite, and I did take it, but that is not something we're used to eating. But I have heard that the cheek in the fish head is like some of the most tender meat on the fish. Maybe it's just in my head, you know, but I find it kind of difficult to eat the head of an animal, to be honest.
Now in China, if you are cooking a meal, first off, they're most likely going to buy the ingredients on that day from one of these markets. And the ingredients from these markets are extremely fresh. Unlike in Western supermarkets where they may be packaged all nice and look all clean, but they may have been picked from the farm several days ago, and the meat maybe have been killed several days ago. However, at the wet market, it's all completely fresh. Secondly, as Chinese people use chopsticks, most of the meat and stuff is cut into very small pieces, and then it will be cooked in a wok using a flame at extremely high temperatures, essentially a rocket flame. So if there was any bacteria on that meat, for example, that would be absolutely obliterated by the time it gets to the plate. Whereas in the West, we tend to use a lot more slower cooking options, like a big joint of meat in the oven. And that's where the food's hygiene is much more important, because if the middle of that meat doesn't get to the right temperature, then it will not kill the bacteria that is formed.
So here we are entering the meat section, and this is kind of in a bit of a dark, dingy tunnel, to be honest, and it looks like most of the merchants are actually not around. So I'm not sure what's going on there, but we've got some around anyway. Chicken wings, funnily enough, chicken wings are actually some of the most expensive part of the chicken in China. And while we do like them in the, you know, back in England as well, it's actually the breast that's the most expensive in England, but the breast tends to be like the cheapest part here, so I end up just lapping up a load of chicken breast, and I get like 5 for 20 RMB, which is great. Alright, so next stop, we are actually making our way to Xiamen University, but we're doing that in style. So this is Gaoqi Gaoqi metro station, and line 1 in Xiamen actually goes across the sea, because we're on an island right now, so the metro is going across the sea, and yeah, it should be some great views on the way, so let's see what's in store for us. It's kind of amazing how in so many different cities in China there's a metro system that take you everywhere in the city. There's more than 40 cities with metro systems in China, which is just unbelievable, and they're so cheap. They're so cheap. To get from one end of the city to the other costs you no more than like 8 RMB, which is like $1. Compare that to the tube in London, it's like a world of difference in price, and it just allows everybody to be able to get around. So right here we've got a machine, and this has obviously been installed after COVID, I imagine, and if you forget your mask when you come to the station, you can just buy yourself one at the station. How cool is that? How much did it cost?
1 yuan.
1 RMB. How about that? That's cheap enough, isn't it? So right now we are on Metro Line 1, traversing the sea, which is kind of incredible. What you can see there in front of me is a highway, but we're on the Metro line. It goes straight across to the other side, which is kind of a handy way to get across, isn't it? I can imagine on that highway at peak hours it gets kind of busy. So I'm glad we're on the Metro, because you ain't getting any traffic on the Metro line, which is pretty good. And over there, look, you can see the skyline. I bet that looks wicked at night. But right now we've got more sun than you could imagine. Absolutely beaming down. It's like 33 degrees today, and look at that. Bam, another Metro going past. I actually wasn't aware when I first came to Xiamen that it crosses over onto an island. But now I am. And there we are, we've arrived on the other side of Xiamen. Alright, so we have taken the Metro, as you can see, and now we are going to enjoy the sunset at Xiamen Park in Xiamen. And it is a fantastic park. A lot of the parks here, they're so well kept. You know, all the bushes are reared, you know, perfectly shaped. And it's just a nice place to be, and we're right alongside the sea, as you can see here. And what we're about to do is, you see this little bike track here, goes all the way through the water, and we're going to bike along there, which is going to be really nice actually. If I lived here, I would definitely do that pretty often, because that is probably quite meditating. And it's just a place of joy, you know. There's kids here playing, I'm not sure what they're playing. They've got some kind of ball and they're throwing it around. Oh no, it's not a ball, it's a drone. Look, they all want to catch the little drone. Look, how cute is that? Oh no. Yeah. Hello. You want to be in the video?
I watch a video on YouTube.
Oh. Well, what are the chances of that, eh? I was just filming those kids, and one of the mums of the kids was a fan, and she said, Barrett, it's you. No way. It is a small world. If you do see us on the street, please say hello, because it's always nice to meet people. Hey, Danny's found a bike. Woo! So yeah, we're going to be taking some of these rental bikes across the bike path. These rental bikes are super convenient. Like, it costs like 1.5 kwai to be able to use it for, I think, 30 minutes, which is literally like 20 cents. And yeah, it's nice. I prefer myself to have an electric bike when I'm in Shenzhen, which I do have. But when I'm not in Shenzhen, you know, sometimes they're a convenient way to get around to short distance places. But when it's 33 degrees and humid, you know, sometimes it's not ideal. You end up being pouring in sweat after about 5 minutes. Here's the latest unveiling of the Super Speedster 2000.
Harry Potter?
No, I was trying to think of the Harry Potter, what the broomstick's called, but I couldn't think of what it was called.
I only know the Chinese name.
That'll do. I don't know what is it in Harry Potter, the broomstick?
Nimbus 2000.
The Nimbus 2000. So this is the latest unveiling of China's version of the Nimbus 2000. We're going to be flying over that water very shortly, so stay tuned. Alright, so we're on this bike path and it's a pretty incredible skyline, and we've got Abby again here with us.
Hi everyone.
And Abby was just telling me that she's spent some time in the US. Yeah. And some other friends I've had spending time abroad, they've said they've had some strange questions before. Let's not crash into each other. They've had some interesting questions over their time abroad. So I wanted to ask Abby if she's had any particularly bad stereotypes and been involved in those. So let it fly.
Can I hold it?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. So when I was in America, I got asked, let's just talk about food, okay, what we eat.
Okay.
So I got asked like polarized questions. Some people think China is still very poor, that we have nothing to eat. we can't feed ourselves. There's no meat for us. Okay. And then some people think Chinese people just eat everything. Right, everything you can think of, like sharks, snakes. Uh-oh. Yeah.
All right, we can pass. It's like pass the baton with the microphone here. Yeah, no, I mean, it's definitely a misconception. I've spoke about this in a video when we first made the channel, actually. But yeah, some people have the conception that people eat everything here. And while that was kind of the case to an extent several generations ago, it's changed a lot. And I have never met anyone in our generation who's eaten like a cat or a dog, for example.
No, those are our pets. Those are animals. We love cats and dogs.
Right, and while I have seen some of the older generation eat some questionable things, in my opinion, you know, you got to think, in a way, it's just like, it's a different culture of food. I feel like people should be somewhat more open-minded. You know, if people want to eat kind of scorpions and stuff like that, that's fine. You know, people in other countries are eating things that we wouldn't deem normal. You know, in Australia, they eat kangaroos.
They do.
In South Africa, they eat crocodile. It's like...
Because they have too many kangaroos.
They have too many kangaroos, yeah, so they need to get rid of some somehow.
Yeah, for Chinese people, kangaroos is something that you can only see in a zoo, and we love them. They're so cute.
So yeah, it's one of those things where I've never actually seen, like, I don't know, for a snake, for example, in a wet market.
Never. You know, I was doing a live streaming this noon at a wet market, and I actually got comments that people were asking, where are the snakes? I showed them around. There's no snakes at all. I've never seen a snake at a wet market, seafood market. Actually, in my entire life, I've only seen one snake that was in a forest, in the nature, wild nature.
Right, this is quite difficult, isn't it? Yeah, it's one of those things where I think I would just love to see more people come to China and kind of see the reality for themselves, because that's really the only way. We can only show you so much through video, but yeah, if you can, after COVID, get your ass over here and see it for yourself. Alright guys, that's us done for the day in Xiamen. First day, really enjoyed it. We got up to a lot of stuff. It's been very busy. I hope you guys enjoyed watching it even half as much as I enjoyed doing it. Anyway, that brings us to the end of this video. YouTube thinks, yeah, YouTube, using their algorithms, they think this video is going to be the one that you're going to want to watch next. So let's see if they're right, shall we? Until next time, take care.